Okay, welcome to another video. We are going to be taking a look at UbuntuDDE, the new Ubuntu spin using Deepin desktop as the desktop environment. I'm showing you this screen here for a reason. So I noticed a few people were sending me messages saying that the installer keeps crashing on them. They're having problems with the UEFI sort of version. So if you go into legacy mode, so if you see here I've got a couple of entries for my SanDisk. We're going to go for the one that doesn't say UEFI, which will boot it into legacy mode, and in that way you'll get no errors when you try to install. So we're using the external capture card today, so we should be able to get a nice little run through of everything that we do without the need of sort of stopping and starting and things like that. I will need to briefly set up sort of a mirror for the display here and there, but other than that we'll be good to go. So it's just checking the sort of progress of the disk now. That will take about 20 seconds and then we'll be good to go. So we're going to do the whole installation process together. I'll sort of talk you through what's going on and then we'll boot into it once it's installed all off disk. Okay, no errors are found. Very good. I do quite like the logo. And we should be into the live. Oh, have I spoken too soon? Let's give it a second. And it should be with us. There we go. Right, what I've got to quickly do is jump into the control center on my screen and just make sure that the screen is doing a copy so we can both see the same thing. So if you give it a minute, there we go. Right, what we're going to do is jump straight into the installer. We're not going to look at anything until we're installed. So if we go to install UbuntuDDE, we're going to go for British English, and as you can see it uses Calamares as its installer, so not like most Ubuntu. So if we go into About here, you can see that we're using Calamares version 3.2.20 for the installation process. So let's go to Next. That's all correct. That is also correct. Let's just quickly test our keyboard out. That is all correct. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I need to sort out this disk anyway. So we're just going to go, I've already done a run through of this already. As you can see, there is only the one partition here. It doesn't use an EFI partition or anything like that. So if we go to manual partitioning, we're just going to go for this and we're going to go to a straight format. Bang, bang. I tell you what, I'm going to do something a bit different actually, because I don't want to mess with the boot file. So we're going to go to gparted. I think gparted's included here, and we're just going to delete that disk entirely. So let's unmount this, and then we're going to delete that ext4 as well, and then we're going to click OK. Close. So we're going to go back into the installer now, and it might give us a different option now when it finds that disk. It might just say install to full disk or something like that. We'll see. Next. Yep. So if we go to this part here, there we go. So we've got some different selections here. So we're going to go for erase disk, and then we're going to let that set up the master boot record on that very disk there. So as you can see, no EFI partition will be required for a legacy boot. It's just going to give the whole thing, and we're not going to bother with a swap or anything like that. So we're just going to go for Next, and then we're going to do our user account details. Okay, and we're going to click Next, and we're just going to review those options there. Yeah, that's all correct, and we're going to go to Install. So this is going to make changes to your disk in order to install UbuntuDDE 20.04 LTS. So let's click Install now. We're going to pause the video here, and then when we come back we'll be booting off disk and we'll have a little look around together. Okay, before we get into the desktop, I just wanted to show you the login screen. I didn't notice this when I first installed, but it creates two users. So the user we made in the installation, which is Tyler, but it also makes an UbuntuDDE user. Quite strange, but anyway. I'm going to pause the video, set up the mirror for the screen, and then we'll be going through it together. Okay, off we go. So we've got one little problem detected here, but as I say, it's a beta, so I wouldn't buy into this too much. So we're just going to click cancel. So we are in and we are ready to have a look around. So first things first, let's jump into the launcher. I tell you what, let's change the mode of the bar here to fashion or beautiful. So we looked at Arco Linux Deepin not that long ago, and if you notice, most of my time was spent using it in the efficient mode. So for the purpose of this video and for a bit of sort of change up, we're going to use this mode here, and we're also going to make it small. There we go. So I'm going to briefly talk about here. So you get your trash cam, your clock, and then your power on and off buttons here like that. And then you also have a toggle to make it smaller or a toggle to make it larger and hide the sort of connection indicators and things like that. So we've got a couple of network plugin indicators here randomly. Let's see if clicking this one does anything. No, it doesn't. Okay, so let's get going. So you have, as I said, your indicators there, and then it has your sort of pinned programs and programs that you open to the left. So what we're going to do now is very sort of quickly go through the entire sort of installed programs, but we're going to do that in the full screen view, so it's a bit easier to have a look at what's what. So I have noticed that it sort of opts not to use a lot of the Deepin specific programs, so it does use Deepin's file manager though, which has a little toggle there that you can set for your dark theme. It will look a bit funny until you close it and reopen it, but the dark theme is probably my preference over the light theme, but we're going to keep it on the light theme for now because we'll change the theme in the control center as well. So here is your files manager. Again, quite a simple files manager. You can set a share password, open a new window, and I do believe it's tabbed, so you can also have a tabbed interface like that, and then you have your sort of shortcuts to, you know, home folders and then removable disks, etc. to the left. So what we're going to do is just close that and we'll keep going. So what it uses Gedit as your text editor. So if you go to About Text Editor, as you can see, we're using Gedit version 3.36.1. Let's close that and keep going. So Thunderbird is your default mail client. Not my personal preference, I'm an Evolution guy. Document scanner, so computer will also open up your files manager again, but in this computer part here, which also defaults to your disks, and again you'll have sort of your directories to home there as well. What I don't like about this files manager in particular is that there's no right click on the home, but unless you go there then you can get a right click, but in computer you get no sort of right clicks or anything like that, and it always throws me off that. But other than that, it's a, you know, it's a fairly competent files manager. So let's keep moving. You have your show desktop button there, which you could probably chuck in your taskbar at the bottom here as well. Obviously when you're in efficient mode it has it to the right anyway, like this. So if we go into mode and efficient, clicking that will also show your desktop. So let's go back into beautiful mode now and keep looking around. So that was show desktop. Here's your trash. Again, it will open up your files manager into the trash section, and you can empty your trash, open your properties, and it will tell you how much it contains. Let's keep moving. So that was trash. So control center we're going to save until we've looked at the other applications, because there'll be sort of quite a lot to go into in the control center part of it. Multitasking view. So we showed this a lot in the Arco Linux Deepin edition. So you can add more desktops there, and if we had a few windows open, so let's open a couple of windows, let's open a terminal as well. Now if we go into our multitasking view now, it will open up the windows that we have there, and if we had another monitor connected it would also sort of pop that open and you can drag that over as well. So what you can do is, you know, do that, mix and match, take it over there, start a new one with that windows open, bring it all the way back to the beginning. It's quite a good multitasking view actually. I do like the way Deepin does that. So we're going to close that and we're going to go back to here. So printers, archive manager, comes with gparted installed out of the box. We have 2048, which is a GNOME game, or it's part of that suite of games anyway. So there's quite a lot of GNOME programs in here I've noticed. So we have a Trill document viewer, backups, which is DDE. I'm just going to see what version it is. So that's version 40.6. If you've never used DDE, you can sort of choose which folders you want to ignore, folders you want to save, and in storage and location you can back up to sort of quite popular network sort of cloud services. I do believe you can do a couple of others like that, I'm not sure though. I think when you do it with GNOME online accounts it might give you an extra couple of options, maybe. but you can also do network servers and things like that. So what I do with DejaDup is I actually use SFTP, and then I'll back it up over SSH, basically like that, to another computer. So I'll back up my laptop to this computer, for example, in this folder here. I'll quickly show you. So in external here, I have a folder here what's called backup, and then on my sort of main computer, what I do is I'll have that set up for DejaDup to transfer everything into that folder that I want to back up over SSH. Very handy. So that's DejaDup. Calculator again, which is another GNOME program as far as I can tell. Yep, GNOME Calculator version 3.36.0. Let's keep going. So celluloid, it's quite popular these days, celluloid. It's not one of my favourite media players, but it's sort of making its rounds these days on quite a lot of the mainstream distributions. So it's a GTK front end for MPV. Let's keep moving. Chess, another GNOME game. Firefox, so Firefox will probably be version 74, as we're using Ubuntu 20.04. Let's have a look. 74.04. So what we're going to do before we keep going is open up a terminal. I've just realised I haven't done an update yet. Right, we're going to leave that to do its stuff, but while it does that, you can see it's got its own little repo there. So where is it? Where are you? There we go. DDE dev Ubuntu Focal. So we have its own little repo there that it's going to grab things from, and that's just going to do some update. We'll let that do its business. So now if we keep going, so that was Firefox. Fonts. So it's nice to see GNU image GIMP. Basically, it's nice to see GIMP there, as it's a program I make use of a lot, which will be version 2.10. Yep, brilliant. We'll leave a few of this open as well because I want to see how much RAM we manage to rack up as we keep going. So that's GIMP. We have laptop module tools, modification tools. What this does is open up a window which will allow you to add certain sort of laptop modules here. So as you can see, you've got Ethernet, you'll have wireless, Radeon and things like that. Also what we're going to do before we keep going is just do a quick screen tearing test. Shouldn't really be getting any screen tearing on here though, but we'll have a look. I'm just going to make sure that's muted. Cool. So I'm just going to skip it into the quick bit. Nope, I can already see we have no screen tearing there, so that's all nicely set up for you out of the box. Let's close that. Right. So that was laptop mode. LibreOffice, so the default icon theming here doesn't seem to have anything for LibreOffice, at least it doesn't before this update. You never know though, the update might pick up some things for it. So it's going to be using version 6.4 point something. We'll have a quick look. So we're just going to not show tips, click OK, go to help and about LibreOffice, and we are using version 6.4.2.2, which is quite a modern version. It might even be the current version, but don't quote me on that. GNOME Mahjong, again another game from the sort of GNOME suite of games. Screenshot, so this one confused me a little bit when I had a little play around with it before starting this video. It uses GNOME Screenshot, so let's see if it will actually work with a keyboard shortcut. No, so let me just show you a little thing that we can do. So if we go into the keyboard shortcuts here, keyboard shortcuts, so let's type in screenshot up here. There we go. So hold on, we might have, so a full screenshot is print, but as you can see it's not doing anything. Part of me thinks that's probably because the Deepin uses its own screenshot tool, but I did download it on my quick trial run of this, and that didn't assign the keyboard shortcuts correctly either. So what I did is I just went to keyboard shortcuts and I made a custom one for GNOME. So if you go to add custom shortcut, I'm sure, as I say, this is a beta, so this will all be addressed, I'm sure, when it's got sort of a final release. But if we just type in GNOME screenshot, and then we're just going to copy and paste that into the command, and then we're going to set the screenshot as print, and we're going to replace the one that it's already got with add. So now as you can see, we've got a custom shortcut there of GNOME screenshot, and if what I'm thinking is right, There we go. We now have a screenshot tool that works without having to open it up like that. So what I'm also going to do before we keep I'm going to keep on with the programs, and then we'll do control center afterwards. So that was screenshot. Here we have software, which will be GNOME software, and it will have I'm going to imagine, I know it's got snaps, I'm just wondering if it's got a snap plugin. I'm sure it does. So if we go to snap list, out of the box you'll see it has no snaps included, but we also have Flatpak installed out of the box as well. So as you can see, it says no command specified, but it hasn't told us to install it, which means we've got Flatpak as well. So we're going to close that, and as you can see, this is GNOME software. Quick way you can always sort of tell if that is, just go like this. Obviously, if you can tell it's GNOME software by looking at it, but GNOME software to manage your packages. But it also has Synaptic Package Manager, so you can manage your packages like this. And we're going to do a couple of things in here just to show you sort of the oh dear, this usually means, okay, well, it's because we're doing an update, so that's still okay. So here we just got to let it do its grub business. So we want it in that one there, click OK, and then that will do the grub stuff for us. So we'll open up Synaptic once this update's finished. For a beta, this is actually quite a smooth process though. We haven't run into any game breaking crashes at the moment, so it's getting a big plus from me for that. So what we're going to do is let that finish this update. We're going to jump open Synaptic and just sort of, I'll show you a couple of the Deepin alternatives that you might want to use. I personally would rather not use them. So there's like Deepin Music and Deepin Video. They're okay, and they will fit the desktop well, obviously, because they're made with Deepin in mind. Well, they're made for Deepin. But I prefer the other sort of stuff for music and things. I'd use like Lollipop and stuff, especially if you've got other desktop environments. They will transfer over better than a Deepin specific program would. So if we now open up Synaptic, now that that's finished, type in our password. There we go. So let's just click close there. So we can also manage our packages in Synaptic. Let's just make this a bit, there we go. So I'm just going to show you a couple of Deepin specific programs. So here we have DDE calendar. We're not going to worry about that. Does this have a calendar installed? No. Okay, maybe we will grab Deepin calendar. So if we check that box there, mark for installation, and let's also grab Deepin Music. I'll show you what Deepin Music looks like. So that's got quite a few things to install there with it. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to grab Deepin Music. We will just grab Deepin Calendar, and I'll show you how it sort of will tie in nicely with the desktop environment. Okay, so that's Deepin Calendar installed. So if we now type in calendar, you will see Deepin Calendar. And then there it's quite a nice smooth thing, and again it will have a, does it have a dark view? Maybe not. We'll have a look at that though in a control center, changing the theme. So that's Synaptic. So let's keep moving. So we also have GFarm and MPV Media Player. Okay, so we've looked at all of the programs now. What we're going to do is see how much RAM we've managed to use up. So we're now using 2 gig RAM. Before we do a reboot and check out what the sort of idle RAM at boot is, we're gonna see how the other keyboard shortcuts work, because I was running into a odd little issue here and there before I started filming this video, mainly with the workspaces. So if we go to workspace, hopefully it was just a weird quirky error and it does work now. So switching workspaces, I could go one to the right, but then it would have a bit of a meltdown and wouldn't go any further. Let's see if that is no longer the case. There we go. Workspacing is all working nice and fine. So what we're going to do is show you some of the Windows spread keyboard shortcuts. So let's go back into shortcuts here and then just type in window. And here you'll see you'll get, where are we? Display windows of current workspace. So if we go to Super W, that will display everything that's on the current workspace. But now if we go to Super and S, Super and S, we're going to chuck some things on different workspaces like so. And then we're going to go, was that Super W? So Super W will show you what's on the current workspace. Super. So if we go to, what are the other ones here? Display window of current. Super and A will display windows of every workspace. So now I can see every Windows is on the one screen that is spread across all the different workspaces. Very nice. So we're going to close that. Let's have a little, so actually any errors that I was getting before this video started are non-existent, and this is making me really quite enjoy this this implementation of Deepin even more. Okay, and as I said, you could add any other custom shortcuts you want. So there's a file manager shortcut to Super and E, so that will open up your files. Pretty nice. Okay, what we're going to do is check out the themes that it comes installed with, and then we're going to do a reboot, get a RAM reading, and we'll just wrap it up there. So as you can see, we are running a mirror, or as they call it, a copy, but we could extend it, but I'm not going to do that because that will ruin the filming. So what we're just going to do is go down to transparency, and we can make it even more transparent. And now let's go on to theme here. So at the moment we are using Deepin default, the light version, so let's see what the dark is like. Oh, it doesn't want to change. Okay, we are getting a little problem with that, but this is a beta, so you will get random things like that. So the default icon theme is Deepin. It has ePapyrus, it also has Deepin Dark, you have high contrast, you have humanity, you have the Papyrus Dark and Light. This one caught my eye when I was installing. I've never used this, so it's called C, and as you can see there's little sort of, you know, C-like things as your icon. So now if we can just go into the launch sort of launcher here, so let's go all the way up. So Files Manager is a little folder with a squid tentacle coming out. Trash is a rather menacing looking shark. Control Center is a like a captain's wheel. Multitasking view looks like a map. Printers is is that a squid or an octopus blowing out a little bit of ink, I'm going to imagine, or smoke. Rather interesting icon theme, one that I've never used before, and that I probably wouldn't use actually, but it's nice to see an icon theme that I've not seen before. Look at that as well. So your folders now also have little, I quite like that actually, I think that's pretty cool. Right, let's go back into that, and we're going to try and see how Papyrus looks on this Deepin one. So that's Papyrus now, so let's jump into there. So as you can see, Papyrus looks quite nice, and now we have got icons for our LibreOffice. So what we're going to do though is put it back onto the default, which was Deepin. We're going to do a reboot, but I'm going to record the reboot to see how quickly this starts up. We're going to get a RAM reading, and then we're going to wrap it up there. But quite a good first look at this distribution actually. I'm quite excited about this one. So we're just going to open up a terminal and reboot like that. Oh, our terminal's a darker colour. Was it always dark? Let me know. Let's go to reboot. So it's it will go to a grub menu where we have to press enter, because I've still got Arco Linux from the most recent distro spinner that we will be picking back up on Sunday, for those that might be wondering why we haven't got another episode going. Right, so as soon as it comes up we'll press enter, and we'll see how long it takes to start. Right, we'll press enter now. I think I've turned the volume right down. I'm going to make sure it's definitely down though, because I'm not a massive fan of the sort of the startup jingle. There we go. So that started quite quick. We haven't got auto login though, so it's not as, we couldn't really get a great look at that, but that's not to worry. And there we go. So we're back at the desktop now. I just want to see. Yeah, so they don't have any icons in the Deepin. I'm sure there is Deepin icons for Libra though. Strange. Right, what we're going to do is see how much RAM we are using. So we're using 950 megabytes of RAM. Like I said in the installation, we didn't bother with a swap. Usually I would make a swap, but as we're just doing a little first impressions video, we're not going to worry about that too much. But no, very impressive little sort of remix of Ubuntu there. I will definitely do a follow-up video of this when they've got their final release. That's been UbuntuDDE. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.